treat.
So anyway, stem cells, Tom, my question for you, and I think all the viewers will be very eager for us to ask is, I mean, does the fetus like have to be alive, like when you eat it, in order for the stem cells to cure your spinal column? I mean, it seems a bit unfair.
The Earth Locker, chatting our way to being better Earthlings.
Yeah, but now you sound like a Tesco commercial.
Oh.
Do you know what? I was only just spinning a yarn about this chick I met in a queue for a piece of theatre in Los Angeles. A piece of theatre that was not a piece of theatre, because we went in and everybody sat down and sat quite obediently as two people kind of wandered around a kind of a makeshift stage.
But was it like a narrative or what?
Was it what?
Was there a narrative? Were they telling you something?
There was just these two attractive young people with virtual reality goggles on, just kind of doing whatever they wanted to do, which frankly was not fueled by what seemed like a very sharp imagination, right? But there was a graphic roughly on the projector behind them that correlated to their movements. So they were kind of manipulating the projection, but not that much. It was really pixely and basic, right? And this lady in the queue, she'd been playing Fortnite, the game Fortnite. She was, she was 40 if she was a day. She was in and around that kind of age. And she was like, I've been playing the game so much that I've kind of malnourished myself to the point where... And she took off her hat and she was missing hair on the top of her head. And I look at Tom Hopper's
Tom's like,
interest
what
peak
is
now.
this?
And she said how Fortnite is going to change society.
Yeah, everyone.
And how she's like, there's over 100 million people playing it, and how it's all going to change our brains and turn us into little harvest drone bees. I don't know. I don't even know what
we did
Fortnite
freaking
is.
work of that, huh?
What?
That is.
Are you watching Roadhouse again?
Roadhouse.
Tom's favorite movie.
Why won't
is
this turn
definitely
off?
Roadhouse.
I'm going to share with you the top thing.
Why is it?
Wait, are you doing your research right before we talk to the person you already know?
No, it was the
watching-
video that I was watching before.
Are you watching Swayze porn?
Watching stem cell porn.
Ooh.
Stem cell pornography. Oh my God.
Yeah, guys,
Surely
it's
that
the
gets
good
you on
stuff.
a register.
Good stuff.
It's the really good stuff.
Because that's
Highly recommend.
That's pre-fetus. Good Lord. Oh, come on, listen.
Come on now.
Pedo jokes are therapeutic, right, for the collective.
No, they are not. Stem cell jokes are fine. That's fine.
Hey, can I go on about that fella Robert Lanza again? Can we ask Dr. Chris, our guest? Can we ask him about Robert Lanza, who I think is giving himself stem cell suppositories to keep himself young?
Yeah, well, there's a few people that are doing stuff like there's lots of, who was that guy that, there's lots of people, quite wealthy people, that are massively taking advantage of stem cells and injecting like growth hormone elements into their skin and stuff to make themselves sort of effectively stay young. It's like Dave Asprey.
We want names.
Yeah, so Dave Asprey of Bulletproof Coffee, openly admits he's like had more stem cells than probably anyone on the planet.
Then hot dinners.
And he had, and hot dinners. I think he was a raw vegan for a while, so that's probably true. He talks about like aging backwards, effectively, Dave Asprey, like constantly like improving his life as he gets older.
Do you think Harrison Ford? Sorry, Harrison. And if you aren't taking growth hormone, good on you. Good on you.
Some sort of anti-aging
it's like
thing.
Tom Cruise as well, right?
He's been
Tom
aging
Cruise
backwards since Star Wars. Right. I'm reading a poem, listeners, viewers, because you can still see us. And listen, the Earth Locker, we can keep this boat rowing. I mean, I know that Tom Hopper has biceps that could fell an ox, but I'm reliant on you, and
My pantomime skills.
I'll be here for motivation. With poems, I will drive your brawn with verbal schmerz. Like, for example.
Like, for example, why is Anne Frank on the cover of the poem?
Because she wrote all these poems.
I thought you said she didn't write all these poems.
No, she didn't.
Jesus Christ, you messing with me.
No. This one's called sacrilege. I ate the tongue of the stag. the thick stag tongue that used to lick the foliage, the brook. On it I munched, amused. I ate the flesh of the stag, the virile flesh at his throat. I consumed his heart, and then on his antlers hung my raincoat, while the hooves, the nostrils, and the skin, all unpalatable, lay scattered all around, still bleeding on the ground. That was by Tom Hopper. Crikey, Tom.
Tom. I feel like I've just been at Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah.
Which I think
old ham.
brings us back around to stem cells.
It was from a different time.
You know, does the fetus have to be alive when you're eating it, Tom, in order for your for your back disc to get better? Can you hear us?
Do you have rabbits in your garden up there? Is that a thing?
Me? No. Foxes that have them.
You've really?
Yeah.
I remember I went to some little German city, and and it was a major metropolitan, and in the park were tons of rabbits running around. I'm
Wow.
like, is this for real? Where are the Teletubbies?
We do get rabbits around. Like, I mean, wild rabbits are everywhere here.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
we have to get Byron's mate, John the Poacher, on.
Ah, John the Poacher.
We have to
He's a
get-
poacher.
He's a self-titled man, John the Poacher. Tell us, Byron, tell the world.
So John is a local East Side legend. He deals with a lot of us chefs and stuff, and he'll teach us how to forage and where the good forage spots are. He'll get the crayfish out of the canal and the Lee Bridge River.
yeah, like
and
he uses
Hey, that's cool.
squirrels and what little forest animals are good for eating.
Yeah, he's
That's
London as a
great.
food source.
And this is not. He's not going way outside London. It's just all around East London.
He nicked a load of easy singles from my fridge once, and he said that meant that counted as poaching.
Technically, he's not wrong. It's a hell of
I
a
was
poach.
like, fair dues, John, fair dues.
You got me fair and square.
Yeah, it's just semantics, really. Maybe just like these little kids mugging people on the streets. Like, I'm not committing a crime. I'm just poaching.
Yeah,
I'm poaching your wallet
just
from your
poaching your
pocket.
bank details.
What? I'm poaching?
Yeah, that was like
A lot less threatening.
the genius show Summer Heights High. Did you guys see that show? Summer
Oh,
Heights
that's
High.
such a great show.
Australian comedy, basically one actor, Chris Lilly, creator, doing like 5 or 6 completely different roles.
Yeah.
And one was a little islander boy called
Jonah.
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 And he'd be bullying the little other lads, and he'd be going, "Oh, I'm just punking him, miss. I'm just punking him, sir." Anyway, there
He
you
was
go.
so good.
Yeah, he was.
That
he's
guy
great.
was a comic genius. He is
Yeah.
a comic genius.
He
Like,
churns out the shows as well. He has a new one
he's
every
very
couple
good.
of years with like another 5 or 6 characters in it, of all like living whole lives and
Yeah. That's the thing. That's the brilliance of it is that the depth of each of the characters
yeah.
in that show, like fully live and breathe. Like you are not in any way feeling when you're watching them that it's the same actor almost. It's
That's
like,
it.
it's
You
incredible.
forget completely
Oh,
that it's Chris
hello?
Lilly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you forget completely that it's him. And there's even a one bit where one of the teachers in Summer Heights High forgets herself, I think, in the pretense. And she gets so angry at Jonah. She's so angry, and she can see she's having a physical reaction. And I think she might be she's probably an actress. I don't know. I don't know if she is. I'm not too sure.
I guess so. Yeah.
I had
But
no idea who
she's-
Christopher Lilly was. I just looked him up on Wikipedia.
Yeah. He's like
Australian
this
comedian. Okay.
Chameleonic sketch sort of character actor. Yeah,
It's
he's
such a
really-
great show. If anyone who's listening hasn't heard of or seen Summer Heights High, check it out because it is hilarious.
It's a really good show. Yeah.
You'll do yourself a treat.
So anyway, stem cells, Tom. My question for you, and I think
Yeah.
all the viewers will be very eager for us to ask, is, I mean, does the fetus like have to be alive, like when you eat it, in order for the stem cells to cure your spinal column? I mean, it seems a bit
Well, yeah.
unfair.
That's basically what it is. It's just they're just inserting a fetus into your disc.
Just get in there, right? Stay in there now. You're grounded for a few years.
Now grow. You know what's really interesting about that actually is that that's how they describe it when they tell you what's going to happen. They describe it as you've got to imagine it like a baby growing. It's a very sensitive cell that needs nourishment and it needs to be taken care of, like as if like a pregnant woman was looking after a baby that's growing inside.
How did you feel? Did that make you feel quite maternal? Did that kind of...
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, my hormones were through the roof.
Actually, we actually harvested the stem cells of my little Nami when he was born.
Right.
Yeah.
And we had a phlebotomist on site, and we had
That's right. Yeah.
And she extracted the blood from the cord. Yeah.
Why would you do this? Why did you do this?
And now they're storing it for us. Just in case Namiko ever has a disease, something that needs treatment, he has something that's very easy to replicate that are his stem cells in perfect condition, and they're there for a rainy day.
Tempting thing not to do.
Yeah, I mean,
very knowing that it exists.
Yeah, it's the most powerful stem cells
for
that
your
you
kin. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Where do they keep? I think Virgin do a bank, a freeze bank for
Virgin
stem cells.
Holidays.
Stem cell holidays.
I'm sure it's a different wing of the company.
A package, a resort package.
It's like,
you get a 3-star
hotel in
hotel
Bali along with our stem cells.
And you get one stem cell per passenger to do with as you wish.
But you guys didn't do that with your second or anyone like that?
No, we didn't in the end. It became this whole thing. I think you said it there, you got to have like an extra person on site. And because our two were planned C-sections, so because it was like a whole thing that we would have to fill in this extra paperwork. So we decided not to do it in the end.
Yeah.
But also, we're hoping, if touch wood, they never need them. But if they ever are needed, stem cell treatments and the future of stem cells is rapidly increasing. So it'll be done in a completely different way then.
So how has this increase occurred, Tom? You tell us, and then Dr. Chris will tell us his bullshit version. I'm joking.
So what Chris will tell you is that with the research that's been coming along over the last like 10, 15, 20 years of stem cells, it started off, I think a lot of people still have this idea in their head that it's all come from pigs or something, and there's all these things in test tubes. And actually now what we're finding is that you're able to use your own stem cells to heal your own body. And that is what they're now finding, that they're able to do things on spinal cord tissue, on brain cells. There's potentials to help with, they're having things to do with autism again, to be able to help with autistic tendencies and cancer. So the future, in my opinion, needs to have a look more at stem cells in terms of where the health industry is focusing, especially for orthopedics.
How does it fight cancer, Tom? Like, how would it do that?
That I don't know. All I know is that because it's obviously the mutation of cells that's happening to cancer cells, they would use stem cells to be able to, I guess, heal those cells.
Yeah, to replace them or whatever. If they have to do a very invasive removal of a large amount of tissue or something. Yeah.
So I don't know the science behind that yet, but
pleasant stuff, I tell you.
Yeah, but it's very exciting because it means, because I'm living proof that this stuff works.
Yeah.
I thought, I was told by every conventional medicine doctor, no, absolutely no way. You'll definitely need to have this surgery. You'll definitely need to have this disc snipped off. And people have the same things with shoulder injuries, with hip injuries, that they're told you're going to have to go under the knife.
Wow.
Actually, that's not true. You do not have to. There is alternative medicine now in this form that is actually not particularly expensive, considering that you're going to get a full-time life fix, as opposed to if you have normal surgery, the onset of problems you usually get from having that surgery are tenfold compared to what the initial injury you had.
Tom, when you were growing the stem cell in your womb, spine, what did it feel like? Was it very, very painful, and then it wasn't?
So the initial injection into my spine wasn't painful at all. In fact, the most discomfort I was in through the procedure was the bone marrow draw. But that was, again, just kind of discomfort, not really pain. Then the 24, 48 hours after the procedure, what happens is the stem cells in the disc swell. So disc is one of the most painful ones, apparently, because it swells into all the nerves surrounding your spine. So it pushes into the nerves. So you effectively are in a lot of pain for like 24 hours. And then post that, it just gets better and better and better. It just gradually, that fetus in your spine grows.
Spine fetus.
And, spine fetus grows, and that's what was going to be on the link for our podcast episode. Spine fetuses.
It does have a catchy ring to it.
It does.
It does.
Sounds like a good trauma film.
We should tell Dr. Santano that that's how we should start advertising it.
Let's contact Hammer Films, and we're like, we don't have an idea, but we have a
We
title.
got a hell of a title.
You do the rest.
You do the rest.
You are welcome.
Earthlocker presents,
Spine fetus.
based on a true story.
Yeah. The Chronicles of Tom Hopper. Spine fetus. So when eventually, anyway, 2 months down the line, this pain I'd been in for the last 2 years, this chronic, horrible pain, I woke up one morning and I stood up, and every morning for the past 2 years, I'd stood up and I'd gone, and I had to deal with this pain. Out of nowhere, I stood up and I was like, it's gone. It's literally gone. It was like this miraculous feeling. I said to Laura, babe, the pain is gone. It's gone.
And how long was that?
That was about 2.5 months-ish.
Okay.
Tom, there's such a beautiful piece of acting by you that you just reminded me of in series 1, of Umbrella Academy, where you discovered that Dad, sorry, spoiler, whatever, Dad didn't actually open or explore any of your research or findings from the moon for like 4 years of your life or whatever. And just the shock, the kind of physical, that was honestly one of the kind of most chest-piercing scenes for me from the first series.
Oh, thanks, man.
It's
a tough one for Luther, that moment. That was his most brutal moment.
Yeah. And actually then I think the one where me and you was playing tennis, where you've drank yourself silly.
Yeah, which is a great fun scene to do. And then deeply emotional as well. And
you could have been good drunk for a man who hadn't drank for
completely grossly out of practice on the drinking.
I had plenty of practice in my younger days, so
and it didn't go to waste.
On that. Yeah, it didn't. But dear. Yeah, that was.
Thank God for that stem cell stuff, because you wouldn't have been able to. Like, you need incredible agility to be doing Luther stunts, to have been doing black sail stunts. It was around the black sails time, wasn't it?
Yeah, so that was the thing. I sustained the injury in the second season of Black Sails, and I had to do season 3 and 4 with this injury. So this is a big problem I have with the, as people know, the pharmaceutical industry, is that I was being given all these painkillers and NSAIDs quite freely. And people saying, this will feel like your body's gone on a holiday. You need to take this. And I was like, amazing, great. And I just wasn't asking the questions. I just didn't want to be in this pain anymore.
Yeah.
How did the injury happen?
Filming. Say again.
How did the injury happen? Was it a training injury? Was it I tripped up the stairs?
I think it was a little bit of both, because what happened was we did some very intense training for Black Sails, and I think I'd done a session on the Sunday where I pushed my body a little bit too hard, and then I had to do a fight scene. And during the stunt in the fight scene, I fell in a particular way, and it wasn't like an initial like wham. What it was, that week afterwards, it gradually got a little bit worse, and then all of a sudden, this pain down the back of my leg just didn't go away. This severe,
I just
chronic pain.
Tom stubbing his toe on deck and falling over and being like, "Oh, sugar!" Just like,
it really hurt.
Like, yeah, get up, you little wuss. And then
get on with it.
Spinal surgery. 3 months.
Yeah. I mean, and that's what the thing is. I ended up doing all this different kinds of physio, and then my physio said, "I think we should get an MRI just to be sure." And lo and behold, I had the MRI and I had 2 discs fully sticking into my nerve.
So you can't trust hi-fi stereo systems. You just can't trust them.
Huh?
What?
You can't trust them. No.
Yeah, God, that's.
Come again.
Discs, man, come on.
Yeah, so but that's the biggest problem I have with I think what I've gone through is twofold, really, is the fact that doctors in the current conventional medicine are so closed off to the idea of an alternative option, because I think it's probably to do with money and making sure that people are paying money into the pharmaceuticals, and like the first thing to do is give you a painkiller that you have to pay for, and then you have to pay for a surgery which is going to get them paid.
You
know, I was asking the questions like, what about this stem cell thing? What about all this other remedial stuff, holistic stuff? And they're like, nah. No matter what happens, you eventually, no matter what, you're going to have this surgery.
That's the point when the regular punter, just starts to believe what the doctor says, because that's the sort of last line of verification. And if that can be diverted, you know, exploited, coaxed, perhaps cupped by money and everything by the pharmacological industry. There was a book that I was listening about recently called The Myth of the Chemical Cure, which I have not read. I'll be completely forthcoming about. But it's about that thing. It's about the kind of majority conquering of the medical industry by pharmaceuticals, you know, that every cure exists in a pill, you know?
Yeah.
And
they're not cures, right?
No,
they are
taking away the
symptom.
pain. Yeah, taking away the pain, which I suppose is, if you make something that's really, really, really effective at that, it's like, well, people are...
It's an easy fix. It's a quick fix.
And
that's the same with the surgery.
Investigate further. You know?
That's the thing. The one thing I've learned, and this is why I'm a big fan of functional medicine, the one thing I've learned about in my own health journey is you must ask questions. You must keep asking questions until there is no other alternative, because otherwise you will just be led down a path like millions of others, and you'll probably be in for a lot more pain in the future. Whereas if you ask the questions, there is always an alternative.
Gentlemen, have ye ever had the old finger up the bum prostate exam?
I've not, but I've heard some great stories of that exam.
Have you? Like what? Fond memories?
I wish that were me.
Oh, that was a great day.
I can just picture myself in that situation. Cough.
I've not had not one for the prostate, but I had one, I actually ended up not having it in the end because I insisted on saying, do you have to do it? So basically I had another issue, which I won't go into details for, but I had another issue. And he went, okay, we'll have a quick look, and then we will do an anal examination. I went, anal?
This was at the airport.
It's a layover in the Philippines.
This is when I refused to go through that radiotherapy machine.
Oh, sorry. Go on, sorry.
And he said, I went, anal? And he went, yes, it is what we normally do. And I went, normally? So basically, long story short, piles, right? Oh. I had a situation of piles. When you lift
which
a lot
actually
of heavy
long
weights,
flights do contribute to. Long flights is a thing.
And this was an external problem, right? I knew it was an external problem. I could feel that it was an external problem.
It looked like
but he wanted to get very internal.
While we're down there, let's make sure that our little gnome in there put those piles out.
You don't need to examine me
said
internally. I'm Tom Hopper's anus. It's very... Sorry, I was doing Elephant Man thing. Never mind.
Oh, great. Oh, it was good. But what he said, the thing that really got me was when he went, well, because I said, because it feels like it's just on the outside. And he goes, well, I'd like to check up there.
Well, that's a whole other request.
Did he also ask you for
is it routine or I'd like to? I mean, these are two different things.
You'd like to?
Did he ask for an autograph for Black Sails as well? Could you autograph my DVD? Oh, crikey.
So that was the beginning of me starting to ask questions to doctors.
What alternative did he offer?
He decided to have a look, and I said, look, can we just do the internal thing if you feel it absolutely necessary after you've looked, as opposed to deciding now that you're definitely going to go up there. And so he looked and he was like, I think it's an external problem.
Oh,
and I was like, okay, good. See? Yeah, we didn't need to.
It's odd that he backed off it too.
I know, yeah.
That's a bit weird, isn't it? It's a bit slightly.
Was this in the UK or where was this?
It was in the UK. Yeah, this was when I lived in London. It was
those Londoners.
a doctor.
Fancy ways.
Speaking of tests, right? My mate recently went through
Which mate's
an
this?
IKEA. My mate Screaming Joe Sangren.
Love him.
So he's from the romantic syphilitic era, right? He looks really good for his age, right? But he went for an IKEA McDonald's drive-through COVID test the other day.
Oh yeah, I've heard about
What do you
these
mean?
things.
Right, so you drive in, and you instead of ordering a Happy Meal,
You get your lingaberries.
You get someone swabbing you, right, in the mouth and in the nose.
Is this actually
right?
like IKEA
it
branded?
goes right
It's-
down the back of your throat.
Yeah, and Joe said that he had this big, gruff, cranky fella go. Right, further back, and he was like a thick, grumpy dude. And he jammed it all the way up his nose, and his mate next to him in the car was like roaring, laughing. And then around the other car came this lovely, sweet, gentle nurse, and was like, and she was a lovely, attractive girl, and she was like, "There you go," and just tapped his tongue, tapped the inside of his nose. He's like, "Why is it always me?"
Because Joe Sangre deserves
Joe,
it.
Poor Joey.
he just exudes. He's a trash bag.
So this sounds like a road trip.
Yeah,
Do you
road
agree?
trip. Yeah, COVID drive-through
Let's
At
test that
IKEA.
out.
at IKEA.
Yeah, ironically, we won't be able to do it as a 3 until it's all over.
Well, it'd still be fun.
We could still do it. No, we
Let's
can't.
do
We
it.
can't.
Three
because
cars.
you're in Leicestershire.
We'll do it in 3 cars.
Well,
Yeah,
that's a good
yeah.
idea. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, we'll just do it when this thing's blown over.
Yeah. I'll come down on my motorbike. They can just do it through the helmet.
Yeah.
Ooh, look
In
at that. How
there.
cool are you?
Yeah.
And,
My chocolate is melting, boys.
It is freaking hot in here, Tom. Let me tell you.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah. It's like that first studio we used back in the day.
Oh, God, that was... Yeah, the first studio that we were in
little
was like
spit.
sauna.
I'm starting to panic slightly.
I love that, every time, in the edit, you two will gradually become more and more naked through the show. You actually see your removed clothing just become gradually more naked.
All right. I'm
Yeah,
okay.
so we'll look like Jim Carrey in the Rhino.
Rhino? That movie.
No, in the Pet Detective When Nature Calls, when he's giving birth to the rhino.
I never saw this.
What?
It's,
sorry, I
mate,
did
it's one of the
You are
best
in
scenes
for-
in movie history.
You are in for a treat, mate.
It is hilarious.
I
We
feel-
are dying in here, mate.
They're
Viewers.
Yeah, this is a...
It's because our lovely little social distance studio is incredibly southwest facing, which is a great gift. But at the same time, it's boiling us like some chili plants in a greenhouse. In fact, this would be a good place to grow some. Maybe not.
Because it's humid.
Feels humid right now.
Whew.
Yeah.
Byron's like a humidifier. He's just breathing off moisture like a rainforest.
Like
Byron's
a walking steam room.
Byron's got his own ecology, sort of just drifting around. You know what I mean? Like different species.
I just fling my underwear on the ground and vines
He's
start
his own
growing out. It's great.
ecosystem.
marsupials hanging off him. And
Marsupials, yeah.
Come out of my pouch.
do any of you remember that cartoon Marsupilami? Do you remember
What's
this?
that?
This must have been some foreign language bought in cartoon that was on Irish TV when I was a kid. And it was called Marsupilami coming flying through the trees. Marsupilami coming. Da, ba, 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 ba. And he was this weird marsupial and he had like a 15-foot tail that was striped. No?
Wow, not ringing a bell.
There you go.
It's not ringing any
Don't
bells.
know that one.
To be honest,
that- was
I
Jack-
knew I'd lost you halfway through that.
He's cartoon.
Who?
Oh, hello. I've lost you. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
can, yes,
Who's
yes,
a
yes.
cartoon? Thomas! 1, 2, 3, 4.
We're back.
Yeah.
There we go. You're back. Was it a Japanese cartoon?
It could well have been. It could
Was it
well
up there with Pokemon and all those and Dragon Ball Z?
Yeah, it was
and...
kind of pre all that. It was
Dragon
pre all
Balls.
that. It was the
Sorry,
anime.
what was that?
Dragon Balls.
Byron, that looks like
Byron-
you have fondled the testicles of an animal.
I was going to say, Byron looks like he's doing his own version of some kind of
Yeah,
prosthetic.
isn't that what it's about? Is it?
Byron, have
Like
you...
the porno version of Game of Thrones? Isn't that what it's about?
Listen, there was
I
no
don't know, but I've seen
bestiality
some
going
fan
on with the
fiction about
dragons. Yeah. Or was there? I don't know. Ooh. But what about what have you been to Oklahoma recently, where they flatten bull testicles, flatten them, and slice them and deep fry them?
And eat them.
Yeah, they're called prairie oysters.
It's quite good. I've had bull and
That's a very
lamb.
interesting name to glam them up
Prairie
as
oysters,
deep-fried
baby.
bull balls.
Yeah. They're okay. They're not bad.
They're good.
Yeah, they're good.
Tender. I imagine they're quite tender.
There's a restaurant in San Luis Obispo we stop in
Oh,
on
yeah, I've
driving
been
up
there.
there.
I love
and they would
that
feature
place.
that prairie oysters, all
Speak-
different kinds.
You know what? Speaking of things like that, like cool. I'm trying to venture out
Balls
on
or us, I think is what it's called.
Balls are
on the-
us.
Balls are us.
Did you get to feel them beforehand, Byron? Did you get to fondle them beforehand?
I'll take. Yeah, I'll take that one.
Oh, he's a feisty fella, isn't he? He feels quite full. Oh. Did you ever? You could become quite creative with the marinade.
Oh yeah,
Do you know?
a masala ball.
I'm not going to have the mayonnaise on I'm just, no mayonnaise on this one. All right, thanks.
You could let them.
The remoulade,
let them
fine.
soak.
Ketchup, cool. No mayonnaise.
But I mean, remoulade would just be whipped a bit, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah.
Maybe just blended with some onion and some chili. You know,
This
Hey,
is a
you
show
know-
of education.
Tom, you look a bit like Ronan Keating when you put your specs on.
Only when I put the specs on.
Yeah,
Hilariously, Ronan Keating, I've never seen wear glasses.
really.
I don't
Yeah.
think so.
I have a clear picture of him wearing specs in my head. I think he wore them as fashion.
And you can say maybe.
It's like he's in the room.
Fuck it, yeah. What was that one he did for Notting Hill?
yeah,
Which,
yeah,
by the
yeah.
way, I watched recently, and it's such a good movie, Notting
Yeah,
Hill.
it is beautiful. Yeah, it's not
Oh,
dated.
God.
It's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
It really it was the right side of corny, like in the best possible
It
way.
was.
It was, you know.
Yeah.
What was the one that he did for Notting Hill? Oh, people watching this are screaming at us.
A
right
smile
now.
on your
Face lets me know that you need me. There's a truth,
There's a truth
in your eyes.
Was he the roommate of the main
No, that was Reese Fans
Risa fan? Okay.
from Wales. He was like, "Oh, I went to school with a girl called Pandora. Never got to see her box though."
Nice,
I do like
tight
that actor a lot.
buttocks.
Yeah, he was a sort of a perv who
He was.
he wore the prescription scuba goggles of Hugh Grant's character. Do you know what? Dylan Moran did a lovely cameo turn at the beginning of Notting Hill because Hugh Grant, he's in Hugh Grant's travel bookshop, and Dylan Moran puts a book down his trousers, like a huge book.
Oh yeah, that's him.
And Hugh Grant goes, well, you know, you can either pretend that there isn't a book down your trousers or whatever. And that's Dylan Moran, man. That's who's one of the finest comedians Ireland's
Yeah,
ever
he's
produced,
amazing.
I'd argue. He's a class
Also,
act.
he's in Shaun of the Dead, right?
Yeah, he is in Shaun
Yeah.
of the Dead, yeah. He pops up all over the place, does Dylan.
Yeah, he's very good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we still we don't have Dr. Santana with us.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on.
What were you going to say about cast iron pans, Tomas?
Huh?
Yeah. Now cast iron pan. So basically, I was looking at. I say for a while I've been obviously, you know what I'm like. I'm always trying to find like new optimal ways to be as healthy as possible, and I was looking a lot into pans and the toxins in.
And also, that'd be
pans.
a really good way to start the burrow into Byron.
By chasing me around
item.
with a cast iron
or just
pan.
kind of bang, and we'll put in a sound effect,
Dong!
or just strike you with it, whichever is most
Yeah.
economically
I tell
viable.
you what, they are heavy. You get a proper cast iron pan, that is like
Yeah.
a heavy piece.
Don't you have
Well,
to
there's
give it a massage and sing to it and stuff?
You have to season it. Now that doesn't mean I just put a bit of salt and pepper on it. Apparently there's this like whole process. The one I got is a thing called a Finex pan, and they come pre-seasoned. But you could just put them on the fire, or you put a bit of oil on them and you just heat them, and it gives like a coating to protect the cast iron. But the great thing about cast iron pans is that it's an amazing way to get iron.
Yeah.
So like I
Really?
for anyone who's a plant-based vegan who might not be getting as much iron as they need or not taking a supplement from meat produce, cast iron pans are a great way to get it.
Wow.
Stop up on it. Yeah.
What if someone had some wrought iron furniture, and if it didn't have any like weather shield on it, if you licked it long enough, would it work?
Absolutely.
The
double-blind
no
clinical
idea,
study
but sure,
on
why
this,
not try
actually,
it?
Yeah. licking your uncoated lawn furniture.
I mean, like, get away! Get out of my garden! I'm
trying to
sorry,
cover
I'm
my
vegan.
I'm vegan. I'm just trying to get my iron.
I'm deficient.
I recently turned vegan.
See, that's going to start happening now that we've imagined that into the universe.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Someone's gonna start like tagging as an Instagram post going, "I'm getting my iron."
But I suppose, like, you know, the grown-up stiffs are saying, Rob, don't be silly. It's when you heat up the pan, and then it starts to sort of infuse the food.
I believe that is the actual, the idea behind
that's
it.
the sort
I
of
mean,
chemical transfer.
with cast iron and at most cooking, really, you would try and cook with a lower heat. They're not great on high heat cast iron pans.
Right.
So I guess when you heat it gently, it secretes into the food. Yeah.
Wow.
Is the idea. Yeah.
Wow.
But because the thing is as well is that all those non-stick pans, they're full of lots of toxins.
Yeah.
Really?
And that also obviously the same thing. It
I
secretes
use
into
one
the
of them.
food.
I use
So the
one
best thing
of
to use is either stainless steel, ceramic, or cast iron. They're the best. They're the healthiest, safest pans to use to cook.
Well, there you go. More kitchen tips from the
Do you
hopper.
know what as well, right? I know
Yeah.
we're not. We should plug brands we like and tell other folks. You know,
Absolutely.
I mean, they haven't given us no money for this, but.
Well, I think at the end of the day, what we stand for on the Earth Locker is to try and help people. And we can give tips to people, and if we find a brand of something that is
give
doing
them a
something
nudge.
great,
Well,
then we should give them a nudge.
Victor-
Speaking of which,
Victorinox. I'll just really quickly say knives, Tom. Oh my God, Victorinox knives.
Victorinox.
Victorinox. They're these Swiss knives, I think.
Yeah.
Oh
And
yeah.
I've had a few tomato peeler ones that are just fairly standard small ones for like years, and they're just the fuckers. They just don't dullen. It's fantastic.
Oh wow. So you very rarely need to sharpen them.
I've never.
Amazing.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to get some of those because I'm
Super-
obsessed
and
with
they're
good
cheap
kitchen
out
knives.
as well. They're quite cheap.
Are they?
Quite cheap, like.
The professional ones aren't that cheap. Which I have a couple.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But
if you get, like, proper-
normal punter ones for like £6 a knife for them tomato.
Yeah.
You know, somewhere around that.
That's pretty good. My agent actually gave me for my Christmas gift, I think it was my birthday gift, that my agent sent me these amazing Japanese sushi knives. My God, sushi knives are next level.
Yeah.
Like, especially how sharp they are.
Yeah.
If you keep them sharp, they are amazing.
Do you know
Like,
who's
they just slide through?
a big sushi knife nerd? And I know you'll have probably talked to him about this. Colin Fiore, who plays Reginald
Oh
Hargreaves.
yeah.
Really?
I haven't spoken to him about that, but we should
Really?
we should definitely engage on our knife love.
He's a knife nerd. He really is.
For
He's
chef
like-
knives or kill you, gut
just-
you knives.
I think chef knives. I think
Okay.
chef knives. Because he said this lovely thing about sushi knives. He said the knife with the fish cells, it doesn't cut the cells. It just sort of asks them nicely to divide so that the fish doesn't, it retains or it doesn't sully, or it doesn't change the chemical
Yeah, so
composition
the
of the
sushi
flesh
knife
or
I didn't
anything.
realize has a single bevel on it as opposed to a double bevel.
Right.
So average knife is cut with a V on
Yeah.
it. So you have two V's coming in, but the sushi knives, the Japanese knives, have a single V going to a straight edge, so it more gently goes through.
Smoother.
Smoother is the
Yeah.
idea. So, but it also has to be right on, sharp. You can't let it dull. You got to be on top of it.
What about
Yeah.
katana swords and stuff in Japanese culture? Do they follow a similar thing, or do they?
Those, no, they do. I don't actually know if the fighting swords have a single or double bevel. I would.
It's a specific. Yeah, I'm not sure. It's a very specific kind of steel, isn't it? The Japanese swords.
And their folding process and how long they take to make, they're absolutely
Yeah.
amazing.
And is it just in Quentin Tarantino films that they go?
No, they
I
definitely
really
do
hope
that.
not.
They do that in real life, sound effects.
Yes, because
They
I
must do.
believed that one.
I was like, wow.
I really did.
I think there was definitely a surge of people buying samurai swords after Kill Bill came out.
Every Hesher in America has a samurai sword. That's just the way it goes.
What about 101 Dalmatians?
Huh?
Right?
Everyone had a Dalmatian?
Well, the influx in Dalmatians, though.
Yeah, that really fucked with the Dalmatian breed because I years later went out with someone who bred Dalmatians via the UK Kennel Club, you know, where they tracked lineages of dogs, all that stuff. But after 101 Dalmatians, everyone wanted a Dalmatian, so they were illegally breeding them left, right, and centre. And it went mad, and loads of them went blind and deaf and stuff. And now blindness and deafness is quite prevalent.
Yeah, like overbreeding.
Yeah.
And lots of inbreeding and stuff, right?
Yeah, like the royals. That's why they're all
From
blind
another
and deaf.
country, not
No,
these
from-
royals,
from-
another royal.
No, from Germany. From Germany, yeah.
From a non-specific country.
Yeah, from Germany, exactly.
Oh, leave the royals alone.
Leave
As an
them
American, I like them.
alone. They're grand. I mean, they
fine
must need the odd bastard in the lineage, though. No, seriously, though.
You think?
Because they understand these genetic time bombs. They must do. They understand the need for illegitimacy in the bloodline. Look at you know. I mean, I think that's part of the whole reality of the royals is that, you know, they put Harry out there front and center, and he's widely known to be illegitimate, right?
Well, I mean,
I haven't seen no DNA results.
I've no. There was
But I have
one large
cooked him.
conspiracy about
Poked him with a chopstick.
poor old Harry. Yeah.
Being the progeny of Diana and her tennis coach.
That's right. Yeah.
And Andrew being the progeny of the Queen and her horse stable manager.
Oh, who I saw. I
And
yeah,
not
I only knew
Phillips.
about that. I learned about that when I watched The Crown. I didn't know about that before The Crown.
Shocking.
Look at the royalist over
I
here.
know. I
shaking
would have
his head.
known. Who would have known I was shocked by this?
Why? Because you're used to
You're
the
blowing-
Daily
you're bursting
Mail.
my little bubble here.
The Daily Mail
I
royal
really like
narrative.
them all. I think they're all right. I like the Queen Mum. It's really sad when she passed.
Oh, I certainly don't have. I'll tell you what.
don't
I
dislike
reckon.
Just calling it what it
I
is.
honestly believe that the Queen is
They live their
naturally
lives out
cheap.
in public, so we're allowed to discuss them in public because
fair
they
enough.
live their lives in public, don't they? I mean, this is part of their mythology.
You know, Prince Charles got COVID and then just recovered like he wasn't like a big deal at all for
Yeah,
him.
so did Boris, but that was re-narrativized into he nearly died.
Did you realize? Give him,
Well,
re-elect him.
actually, a bit of a, I'm not sure what I'd say, but I know someone who was on his ward
Did it?
as a nurse. Yeah.
Oh, really?
And yeah, and
Can we get her on?
apparently was Not great.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah.
He only impregnated 6 women that week.
Yeah, which is, you know,
Whoa! He's firing on all cylinders.
it's like an
ladies and
average
gentlemen.
week for him.
Calling the royals Germans.
There is the sacred cow that Rob is chopping to
Oh,
bits.
Boris is the sacred cow.
Well,
now.
all of it is, isn't it? It's just,
Oh, yeah, fair enough.
Have you seen some of these actors and comedians doing impressions of Boris's address?
No, but I
I'm
have-
not trying to tell us the
the
new
one with the
lockdown
Yardy
rules.
accent
yeah,
was quite
it's
good.
absolutely genius, that one.
Yeah.
Yardy
But
Boris.
the mass confusion that was caused, like we were, like even us three were like trying to figure out if we were allowed to film a podcast in the same room. It's like, and Byron was going, no, it basically means you can do what you want, I think.
Yeah.
And they were going, I don't know if it does.
No.
And,
have to just
and
stay
I was
alert.
looking at it going, well, no, it kind of does. And then you realise, oh no, it's completely unclear.
Yeah.
It makes no sense. He was selling us a left-handed screwdriver. Yes. Oh, wow. It works with my left hand. That's amazing.
Hey,
What?
but I need left-handed scissors, Byron.
But then he's... Yeah. He started
So-
saying things like in the news conference, started saying, like, he just almost like making it up that nothing like this had been said in the address the night before. And then they said, you know, if we go to the park, can we meet with other people?
Social
And if so,
distance-wise, yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And then they were like, yes, you can, but you can with one other person. You can meet with one person, and you can do social distancing rules.
Do you
And I
think
was
they?
thinking,
Do you think
well,
they
hang on a
just
minute,
want
if
us
you're
to
gonna
ignore all the like? They just want
Exactly.
us
As
to
if you
ignore
bump
it.
into two people you know who are like a couple that are
Yeah.
walking at the same time, you're like, listen, I've got to pick one of you. Love, you're going to have to go
Yeah, Nan.
one at a time.
Yeah, Nan, go home. All right, just go. Tom, it is hotter than It's let me see. It's hotter
I
than
don't know where this is gonna go.
it's it's hotter than a thorny lizard's quim in Death Valley.
That was a good one. I'm glad you took the time to think about it.
Yeah, you know.
That was a good one.
You
You have a slight look of with this trilby hat but like a brunette version of Malcolm McDowell in Clockwork Orange.
Oh, I'll take that to the bank, my brother. Ultra violent. That'd be cool, wouldn't it? That'd be cool to tarnish that original movie by making a remake.
Me and my wife were talking about that actually recently, because she was saying that she watched it and she was like, it really disturbed me. And I said, well, yeah,
movie.
you and everyone, I think.
Great movie.
But it's such an incredible movie. But that scene, the scene that we all know is a very disturbing scene.
Which is the rape scene. Yeah, it's a rape scene.
The rape
isn't it, where
scene.
they take great joy in raping this woman in her
Oh
home.
my God, yeah. And I didn't really realise when I watched it, because I watched it as a teenager, a young teenager. And
Yeah,
then
me
now,
too. It was too affecting. I saw it too. I felt like I saw it too early, like The Exorcist.
Exactly. I've done the same thing with a few movies where I haven't been able to enjoy the initial experience. It's actually just kind of affected me in a negative way.
Yeah. Yeah, like, do you know what did that as well, Tom? Scream. Tom!
Scream! I was just about... Because I went, Scream! Yes,
And
because
it just came...
the Drew Barrymore scene.
All that... Yeah. When she comes out and then they find her... I wasn't right for 2 weeks after that, because I was only 10 years old when I saw it. Leave that.
I was in a mess.
Leave that.
Exactly.
Byron, leave that fucking door open. Yeah.
Get a draft in.
Yeah, sorry, Tom.
I remember being on my own in my house after watching that. At any time the phone rang,
Yeah.
I would shit a brick.
Oh, thinking, and it's so naive, innit? Here's me sat in Portlaoise, and you're sat up in Lutterworth in Leicestershire, and you're there, and you're just thinking, it could happen here. This is it. It's happening to me. I actually, here's a confession, world, right? We've all moved on, and I was 17 years old in college, and I was in my college dorm, and I thought that the exorcism of Emily Rose was going to happen to me. I was petrified for about 3 days after that movie, and in college.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
There you go. That shows how much of a wuss I was.
There's been a few movies that have affected me like that. Well, one of them is Clockwork Orange. The other one was The Exorcist as well. The Exorcist really affected me in...
Yeah, me too. Yeah, same.
Some weird ways.
I couldn't shit alone for about a week after that. Do you remember that? And you used to shit with your siblings.
Did you shit with your siblings? I don't think I ever did that.
Byron,
I had baths with siblings.
Pee with maybe a pee.
Maybe a pee. Cross swords.
Yeah, no. One time, right, me and my sister, we were really small, and we would run up. There's this back lane, sort of not far from our house, and it was at the back of like a sort of a kind of a government building, which was part like admin, you know, health board, all that stuff. And it's part mental hospital. And then there was this separate building over here. And me and my sister and a couple other friends broke a window with some stones on that building. And then the alarm went off. And it was like mortal dread. And then we ran home to the house. And the two of us, like, I peed and then she peed, and we were both like, oh God, we're going to get arrested. We're going to jail forever. And it was real pee terror.
Oh man,
it's nice to remember that. I
remember when there was a real terror that once when I thought I'm definitely going to prison. We had this my little buddy's air rifle, but these air rifles, they got like metal pellets in them, right? So they're pretty. Yeah, like a little, like tiny little steel. Be
surprised you're not sucking them for nutrients. Oh, that'll balance me out.
It's like a little skittle.
Yeah,
but
it's a little coppery skittle.
Yeah, But these things were like violent when they came out of the tube. Anyway, we were shooting this thing in his back garden, and I shot it across the garden, across some other gardens actually,
Right.
and it hit like a pole. I heard it because I was aiming at this pole, and I hit it, and then this guy shouted, "Oi!" like this, and we all went, dropped the gun, and then ran inside, and my heart was pounding. I mean, I was genuinely like shitting it, and then he came. We looked in at my mate's window, and we saw him walk around the front of the house. This guy, the neighbour, and he walked to the front, walked to the door, and my mate's dad answered the door. He went, "One of your kids has just shot me."
Shot him. So he embellished the story.
And I screamed downstairs. I went, "It was a ricochet!"
Oh.
I was aiming at the pole. Honestly, but he was just threatening to call the police, and I was like, "Please don't call the police."
Oh God!
Oh mate, I was bricking it.
I had a mate called Philip Egan when we were very young, and he got some catapult off of his cousin. It's one of them where you kind of anchor it around the crook of your elbow. And he had
they used to call them a black widow.
Black widow, yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
And he had these little ball bearings, like not unlike the little pellets. And we were at the edge of a graveyard, not far from his house. And there were all these big trees, big old trees that lined the graveyard on our side of the graveyard, right? Beyond it then, it was like the trees were spaced out, you know? And we were aiming at the trees. And then Philip shot it. I think it was Philip. I was going to say it was me, but it wasn't. It was Philip. Shot it, missed the tree, landed in a freshly dug grave with a bit of a congregation around it, right? Hit some soft soil, which went flying up in the air, and the women at the front went, "Ah!"
He's alive! He's risen again!
Just imagine a hand coming through the soil. Ah! It was mental. We was like, did that actually just happen? Yeah.
That is incredible.
So if you are those people
Terribly sorry.
in Portlaoise,
We are very sorry.
yeah, maybe about 25 years ago, that was me. No, it was more than that. Less than that.
Mine actually would have been about 25 years ago. I think maybe a little bit. I think mine was like 23 years ago now.
God.
23. Yeah, Jesus, that's mental. And it's and the fear, I can still relive the fear right now.
Isn't that mad? There's a book I was reading about. Again, I haven't read this book, right? But it's interesting in that
You read about a lot of books.
Yeah. Just get the notes. Do you know what I mean? Move on.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because it's about that very thing that you carry stuff into relationships. You know, that just the same way you relive that childhood dread, you bring triggers that could have been between you and your mother, or you or your father, into things with your partner, so that when that emotional eruption occurs and the you-ness of your control, the higher you, shall we say, gets kind of subdued, you are that toddler again, you know, stomping your feet about being sent to bed early.
Mate, do you know how many times I've said to Laura, I really hate it when you do that because it reminds me of my mum.
That has got to really not de-escalate the situation.
On a whole other level. She absolutely hates it. It's the worst possible thing I could say to her.
Good Lord, Thomas. Have you learned nothing but matrimony?
Are you calling me what the...
I always say, I was like, look, if you stop doing it, I'll stop saying it.
We're going to see Laura come up behind them with a rolling pin.
Yeah, she was just storm in here in a minute.
Marital Tactics 101. But yeah, interesting. It's not a long book. I will get around to it, you know, but, you know, got to get that other book writ first. Get that out of the bastard way.
There you go. How many stories you got left in it?
Yeah, boy.
Do you know what I mean? Here, let me read a quick poem.
Go on, what you got?
By Anne Frank. No, it's not by Anne Frank. She is on the cover. She's very beautiful, Anne Frank.
What book is this?
It's called Staying Alive.
Poetry by the Bee Gees.
I think poetry.
Now that book I would read.
Lyrics always look terrible written down.
They do.
Staying alive. Profound. But this poetry book should be scored by the Bee Gees.
That would be good. Can you read one of them as a disco anthem?
There you go, Brian.
Can you? There's the challenge right there.
Right, okay. This one is called Swans Mating by Michael Longley. And Michael, I apologize. Even now I wish that you had been there, sitting beside me on the riverbank, and the cabin is pen sailing in rhythm until their small heads met and the final heraldic moment dissolved in ripples. This was a marriage and a baptism. You know what?
It's way too hot in this room.
Revisiting the Bee Gees, you can see those guys, it took skill to do what they did.
Yeah, I was going to say, they're underrated.
Yeah. Oh, right, hang on. I've bastardized that poem. We have to just move on. Sorry, Michael.
I wonder what point that they decided to start, because there was a point where the Bee Gees didn't sing like that, and then all of a sudden Brian started doing it, and they were like, actually, let's do all the songs like this.
Yeah.
It's a hit. It's a formula.
Who came first? The Beach Boys? Because there's a Beach Bee Gees or Beach Boys-esque, aren't they? They have a lot, they feel quite influenced by even the vocals of Brian Wilson, I'd say.
Right.
You know, I'm picking up good vibrations. Jeez.
Oh yeah, I suppose that high kind of falsetto.
Vibrations, bop, bop. Good movie recommendation, Love and Mercy, about Brian Wilson, played by John Cusack and Paul Dano. Different stages of Brian Wilson's life. Good film.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I've heard that he's got quite an interesting life, Brian Wilson.
Yeah, he went through phases of hermitism, where he didn't leave the house for
that shit crazy,
9-10 years, something like that. Yeah. I actually saw him live when I was 17 at a music festival.
Which feels
in
the
Ireland.
complete opposite of his music, is it?
Yeah, it does, exactly. All of his music is sort of about getting out there and surfing, man.
Yeah, that's the thing. When I first heard that he had the hermetism thing, I was like, really? Are we talking about the same guy? Because his whole kind of like brand ethos is the complete opposite of that.
It's almost like he was overcompensating. Brian,
the life he'd like to live.
We're just messing, Brian. We're just teasing.
We love you, Brian.
As if you're
big fan
watching this. Here, let me read. Let me repay Michael Longley with an extremely short, just to repay the disrespect. 2 poems with the same name, Thaw. The first one by Edward Thomas. Thaw. Over the land freckled with snow half thawed, the speculating rooks at their nests cawed, and saw from elm tops, delicate as flower of grass, what we below could not see, winter pass. Right? That's by Edward Thomas.
That was beautifully delivered, by the way.
And Thaw by Michael Longley, the fellow whose poem I just bastardized. This is his Thaw. Snow curls into the coal house, flecks the coal. We burn the snow as well in bad weather, as though to spring clean that darkening hole. The thaw's a blackbird with one feather. Sorry, Michael, I like the first one better.
I mean, I like the delivery on both. I'm not actually sure what either were about.
Just, feelings and stuff. All that.
Like all poems. My friend of mine, Ian Beattie, actually, who I should give a shout out to.
I know Ian. I met Ian years ago.
You know Beats, yeah.
Yeah, he's a good character.
So Ian Beattie, I forget the character who played on Game of Thrones. He reminds everyone he speaks to who it was. But
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But I love Ian Beattie. But what he's doing at the minute is doing one poem a day.
Oh,
he's doing one poem a day on Instagram, and
that's lovely.
He's dedicating each day to a different person or to healthcare workers and different people that are helping out in COVID-19.
Let's give him an Insta shout out. What's his Insta?
Yeah, so I believe it's Ian Beattie but we should absolutely help him out.
That sounds nice.
He's doing some great poems, but I love listening to them because his voice.
Yeah, he's a good voice, doesn't he?
So good.
Does he do it in the Northern Irish drawl?
He does it in the Northern Irish drawl.
Oh.
Yeah, it's great. It's absolutely great.
Ferocious.
Ian Beattie.
Ian Beatty.
If you have not watched Ian Beatty, whereas you need to
My
watch.
mate Ari's doing that as well. Ari Gold. And I think
Ari Gold?
his Insta is called The Real Ari Gold, yeah.
So it's called, I mean, his Instagram is now, his whole feed is jam-packed with one poem a day. And
One poem a day.
Ian Beatty _ Ian. Check him out. He's doing a cracking job.
Should we get him?
It.
Should we get him to do a guest poem that's about the beauty of the earth for the Earth Locker? And
Yeah, let's get him on.
cross pollination, baby.
Yeah.
Do it. Let's do it.
But he's also a brilliant actor. I've worked with
Yeah,
Ian
he's in a lot of stuff.
on the thing I did for the History Channel, and he's like a quality actor.
He often plays like ferocious Romans and Macedonians and stuff, doesn't
Yeah,
he?
always. Yeah, that's exactly what he played in when I was in with him. It was a vicious Roman, and I tell you what, he's a scary man to act against.
Yeah,
he's a vicious man.
Do you know who's quite intense and scary and brilliant? Is Joe Maul, my friend Joe Maul. Do you know that actor?
Oh yeah,
He's from up past your neck of the woods. Where's he from specifically again?
Joe
I can't
Moore.
remember. Yeah, he
Is he?
told me and I forgot. But me and him years ago did this thing called the Red Riding trilogy, where
Yeah,
we didn't have anything to do together, but he was the Yorkshire Ripper. He played Peter Sutcliffe. And the Red Riding trilogy, it's not really about him. It's kind of about the police and the corruption therein and the church and all the kind of darkness going
Yeah.
on. But he just had this incredibly impactful few scenes. It was
you
brilliant.
do get
fucking acting.
actors like this
And he's-
that come along
yeah.
and you work with them and you go, "Oh, bloody
Yeah,
hell,
yeah.
they're like intense."
Your
they're-
sushi knife is sharp, sir. on one side.
You use it well, sir.
Yes, you wield your sword admirably, sir. That's Colin Fiore for you, all out our dad on Umbrella Academy. He's so Shakespearean. I mean, he's played all the roles, perhaps all the roles. In fact, he was about to
It's
be
oozing out his every pore.
but he was going to do Richard III, but it got knocked off. It got COVIDed in Stratford outside Toronto.
Oh, really?
Which you and I must go to, and Byron, if you're in town, once knock wood, if we go back to Toronto, we go out to Stratford, where they have an immensely high quality of theatre. I went last visit.
So I hear, yeah.
I saw two of Colum's wife Donna's shows,
Yeah.
Music Man and the Rocky Horror Picture Show, where I got
No
this
way, was
boa
that on?
constrictor.
I love that show.
That's where I got this, yeah. And it was the best. It was the best musical I have ever seen. I had never ever.
Bloody hell.
I'd never ever seen a good musical. No, I'd never seen a Rocky Horror Picture Show.
The movie, you never seen it?
I'd never seen it from start to finish. No.
I used to be
Yeah, it's
one,
a great-
I used to be
great
one of those
musical.
Rocky Horror kids when I was a teenager.
Yeah, it's
Every
so
Saturday.
good on stage.
Yeah.
It's so
Tell you what,
amazing on stage.
I watched this musical a while back in Australia called, do you know Kinky Boots?
Yeah.
I've heard of it. Yeah,
Kinky Boots, I'd never heard of, right? It's actually set in a place called Northampton, which is just down the road
where
from where
Alan
I live.
Moore
Yeah.
is from.
Yeah. And it's all about drag queens.
Yeah.
So there's all these like guys on stage, but it's the first time I'd actually seen drag queens in reality. And
Really?
turns
Why-
out it's
why-
a very common
What age?
reaction
Yeah,
that I
how
had.
old
I
were
was
you?
like,
Is that last
I
year?
don't know. This was only like a couple of years ago, 3 years ago.
What?
And
This
yeah,
is the first
and
exposure
it's
to drag queens.
in real life, yeah. And I saw these
You're
guys.
so sweet.
I saw these guys on stage, but looking like phenomenal women.
Phenomenally attractive women.
Yeah, and I've never been so confused in my life.
Wow. Did your penis wake up, Tom?
This is the thing. It was
wake
kind
up?
of like this
Did
moment
it
of
get
like,
a little bit confused?
it got confused.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. It was very because
Job well done.
my head was telling me one thing and my body was telling me another. And I think it's the only time in my life that it's actually genuinely got really confused. Well, I actually know a friend of mine who was in a situation like this.
So you
in
went with
reality.
your instincts. You went backstage and you congratulated the cast.
I did, yeah. We actually did. I met them all. And I was like,
One
"You've
thing
got-"
led to another.
I was like, dude, you've got insane legs.
Yeah.
You know, like because their legs were. My wife was telling me this. That sometimes like men's legs can sometimes look better, aesthetically better.
Yeah.
You put a
in,
pair of
high
heels on
and
them. Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Have you,
Well, I had a
and then you
friend-
went
I
home
had
and
a
tried it
friend-
out, right?
Of course, yeah.
I knew a guy from university who
He's got
got with a girl.
every shade
or-
of stocking now.
Oh yeah, he's got them all. He got with this a girl in a bar, and they decided to go out to his car and have a little bit of a shindig. And one thing led to another, and goes downstairs, and there was not what he
Crying
expected
game.
down there.
Crying game. Crying game.
Crying game.
Have you seen the Crying Game?
Ah, yeah, great movie.
No,
Neil
is that what
Jordan.
happens in it?
The camera tracks down, Tom. The camera tracks down from her beautiful, angelic, feline, gorgeous face to the penis and testicles and the whole business right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
But
a big
you know
spoiler
what was
there as well.
amazing?
Sorry, well, listen. If you haven't seen it, sorry.
I need to get that out. But
I need to get that out. That's what she
So,
said.
so he was, anyway, so what happened then?
so he stopped, but like look, he looked at her,
Had a look,
him,
had a
and
chopstick,
he went, oh,
lolly stick.
like this, and then looked at her face again, and was so like taken about how hot she was, or he was as a girl, that he went, oh, screw it. Just carried on.
Yeah,
There
me
you
too.
go. Well done.
Mates,
That's
yeah.
nice, open-minded.
And I was like,
non-
there you go.
Many
There you go.
stories from Thailand as well.
Intertwined.
Mates of mine from,
Yeah.
They were like, you know what?
It's
just
You're attracted to the person, all right, not the genitalia.
absolutely.
Fair enough. I buy
Exactly it.
that for $1.
Yeah.
And you know
Yeah,
what?
yeah.
Do you ever see a man or something and be like, whoa? Do you know what I mean?
I wish they
Well,
cross-dressed.
you told me
Is that
this,
what you
Rob, on
said?
a few occasions. You do that fairly regularly. I mean, I see a bloke and go, that's a
not
good
to the
looking
point
dude.
where you go, I want to do sex on you, but you just
Yeah.
go, wow, you're a beautiful looking human being.
Yeah. Didn't you do that with my brother?
Yeah, yeah, I did. Ben, the dreamy pilot. Oh,
Come fly with me.
I tell you, for the boys and the girls out there, you've got to get. Well, no, with Ben, it's obviously with like not just foist a picture of Ben into the world, but with his consent.
He's
yeah,
like
show
Tom
the world.
2.0.
He's Tom 2.0, exactly. Yeah, he does. He looks like Top Gun Tom.
He does, yeah. He's a dashing pilot. Well, he's not at the minute.
Flies planes. Oh my god.
He's in an apartment, not doing much flying at all.
Ironically, he's a dream boat. All right. Well, what
Yeah,
do you
yeah.
think then? Yeah, maybe we should.
We got some good banter.
Yeah, let's round it up. We got some good material.
Yeah.
That was a great. I do think, boys. I actually think it's worth doing the odd episode where it's just the three of us.
Absolutely.
It takes the stress away of getting a guest in, and I think actually
100%.
people will want more of it.
Happy accident.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
like
I
Byron.
do. I think we just do when we can't get a guest that we think is worth getting on, we'll just get on the three of us and chinwag.
And also, viewers, doesn't it look like I'm like Heisenberg right now? I've gone
Breaking Bad. Yeah.
Heisenberg with a feather boa. I mean, it's undeniable. I can only see myself far away on the Zoom camera there, but I look very Heisenberg.
Yeah, well, that's what the look I'm getting, and it does. Yeah, you kind of like a weird hybrid of Malcolm McDowell and Clockwork Orange,
Yeah.
transvestite from Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah.
and
Frankenfurter. Yeah, Frankenfurter.
Oh, a little bit Brian Gibb as well, actually.
Yeah, yeah.
Going back to the
But maybe
Bee
that's
Gees.
just because of the referencing to the poems.
Yeah. Camp Heisenberg as well, I think, to throw that.
Oh,
in.
yeah.
I would love, I'm going to put it out there in the universe, I would love to play Frankenfurter on stage.
Would you?
I would love that.
Mate, you'd be perfect for
Oh, Tom, you'd be great as the Eddie, yeah, like the
Or the-
husband coming in and going, "Damn it, Janet," you know that guy.
Oh, wait.
Yeah,
oh,
that
as
guy,
a
yeah,
Bosworth character.
He was so
Brad.
Yeah, that's a
would make an
great
interesting
character.
it. It is.
Because, Frankenfurter, he boinks everyone.
Mate, let's put it on the West End. Me and you will produce it and we'll play those roles.
Boom!
There you go.
There we go.
And
Let's do
now
it.
we got to find our Janet, and we got to find our, what's Richard O'Brien's character called in it?
Riff Raff.
Riff Raff.
Riff
Yeah, that's a
Raff.
good character. Yeah, Riff Raff is a good role as well. You could do a
He's
Riff
still,
Raff.
he's still
You could-
alive. Maybe he can reprise it.
Yeah.
Richard O'Brien.
Richard O'Brien. Yeah, Richard O'Brien. He was a decadent punk sort of fella, I think, who wrote it out of the. But wasn't he also Crystal Maze? Richard
Yeah,
O'Brien.
that's right. Yeah, he like made it. Yeah, he's the guy that made Crystal Maze what it was.
Yeah, he was the.
That's a UK thing. That's something I never saw.
In fact, it's not even an Ireland thing. I mean, it might have been for people who had cable, but I only had the terrestrial.
Well, it got like a revamp when cable TV came out and Challenge TV on cable television started somewhere around like the late 90s, early noughties, and everyone started watching Crystal Maze again. And what was amazing was the enjoyment factor of Crystal Maze. For those who don't know what it is, it's 4 different challenge zones where you go in as a team and you have to do all these different challenges, either like a mental challenge, a physical challenge, and you have to get as many crystals as you can. You have to complete the challenges and get a crystal. And what was amazing about it as a viewer is you would scream at the television at the person and how stupid they were being and that they couldn't do the challenge and get the crystal.
What were they doing? What sort of tasks were they having to...
Well, it'd be simple things like they literally have to go through, like say if it was a physical challenge, you have to go through like this maze or you have to get across a piece of netting without touching the floor, like simple things. And you'd be amazed at how people are quite when you're in a stressful situation, how you just can't compute things. You can't put the 2 and 2 together. But when you're at home watching, you can be like, it's right there. Just pick it up. Like people would be literally looking for, like you get to the point where they'd be like, grab the crystal. And the crystal would be like right in front of them. And they go, where is it? And you'd be screaming at the TV. And that was the real brilliance of it. That was the enjoyment factor. And you know what? Recently, now you can go and actually experience the Crystal Maze.
Yeah, you can apparently.
In London. I went and did it.
Yeah, I remember you telling me this. Where is it?
Oh man, it's so much fun. It's in Piccadilly Circus in London.
Is it? It's in the middle. It's in Piccadilly Circus.
Yeah. It's great.
I read a lovely piece of writing in the scene of Crime and Punishment, which is a book I finally did get around to mention one I've read. But he plans the murder, you know. He goes, it's going to be simple. Just go in, do the thing, take the money, bish, bosh, bash, know what I mean? Job's a good one. And he's so blasé about it. And then he's there in the scene. And he's just, the way it's written is absolutely filet mignon, because you're in that frantic state of mind, you know, because the first thing that frazzles him is that the moneylender's sister is there home as well. And he's like, and he knows this woman, and she's this kind of woman who suffers with her nerves, and she's all right, like, you know, and then suddenly he has to kill her as well. But it's just that thing where he just completely forgets what hand is left and what hand is right under pressure.
Yeah.
And that's an interesting thing to talk about as well, isn't it? It's like, get someone on the podcast who talks about high pressure, cogent sort of situations where people...
Yeah, you know, we should get someone who is an expert in, because it's basically... in optimization is someone who deals with that with sportsmen, with athletes who deal with high pressure situations, like people who work with Johnny Wilkinson and people like that.
Yeah, like fucking 60,000 people staring at you. I mean, you know, we do a telly job, but it's not that. It's not that. It's, you know, it's that's a different tier on the cake of pressure.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you have a whole nation staring at you, needing you to get that kick over the post.
I know, it's just madness. What was I going to say? It'd be good to talk to. Also, that movie Ad Astra, which I didn't see. It's a podcast where I'm listing things that I haven't experienced. But that's about someone who's hyper good at maintaining a steady heartbeat under extreme pressure. You know,
Roger Federer does that very well.
Really, yeah. Alex Honnold, the free solo dude.
Yeah, oh my God, he'd be, So we have to get on.
I mean, that whole segment of him getting his MRI and his brain not reacting to danger signals.
Yeah, well, he's what you call a functioning psychopath, right?
But I think that's inconclusive, lads, because check out my theory. Because for a guy who's been climbing since he's that big, wouldn't he have, through environment, decreased his fear receptors? Just through sheer knowledge.
Been conditioned, yeah.
Yeah, that he's been up and down like a yo-yo. and he survived it. And I think maybe that somehow gave his fear sensitivity fortuity, perhaps.
Yeah.
So it's inconclusive whether he's
That's
just this
interesting.
genetic psychopath or
Well,
all
a
the
chicken
rock
and an egg,
climbing.
right? What came first? He
Yeah.
probably just trained his brain to do that.
Let's get him on, right? You know what you have to do, loyal army. Loyal flying monkeys.
Hound Alex Honnold.
Yeah, Hound Alex Honnold. It's our new feature. It comes after Burrow into Byron, and then Hound after Honnold.
And on that note, dear Earthlocker, I think we should say adieu.
This is the most sweating me and Byron have done since...
Yes. I don't really know since when. Since the
First
one?
podcast, probably.
Yeah, since the first podcast.
Since the first time we met. My God, what an evening.
What an evening. Guys, thank you so much for listening to us rant and discuss and peer into our soul.
Yeah, and any good, better Earthling ideas, ping them through, because we will follow them
And
up.
please, if you liked what you heard, like and follow
Yeah.
and tell your friends, and
Do all that.
see you in the next episode.
Nice one.
Bye, Earthlings.
The Earthlocker.
This podcast represents the opinions of the hosts and guests of the show, not the parent or affiliate companies of the Earthlocker. All content on this podcast is solely owned and copyrights reserved by the Earthlocker. The content here should not be taken as medical, financial, psychological, spiritual, or even public transport advice. The show is for informational purposes only, and because each person is so unique, please consult your healthcare professional for any medical questions. Talk to your financial advisor and take anything we say with a pinch of Himalayan pink salt. Talk to your financial advisor, especially if you wish to invest in this podcast. Speak with your elders about personal and spiritual matters because, let's face it, they know the shit because they've lived through it. The contents of this podcast might have settled during transport and batteries are not included.
The Earthlocker.